Yes. So class is a collection of objects, either it may be table, person, or bench, or chalk piece, and like that. It is a collection of number of objects. Now, see this one. Suppose if you want to construct a building. So what is the plan of building here? I want to take the how many classrooms in each and every floor. So how many labs I want to construct and how many office rooms in each and every floor. So that I want the plan in to build a to construct a building here. And you need to plan. You need to take the plan for the each and every room. What is the length and breadth of your room and what is the lab size. So like that you need to take the plan here. So before construction of your building you need to take the plan. That plan is called as a class here. So it is a logical plan. It is a only copy. It is a not the physical one. It is a just virtual one. So it is a plan. So what is the class here? It is a collection of data members and member functions. So classroom, lab, office room, all these are data members. And how to construct the building, classroom, what is the length, breadth, and what is the length, breadth of lab and office room. So that is, we can read the values of that using the read function, print function, and these are called as a member function. So it is a collection of data members and member function. Now suppose if you are taking the syntax here. So first we'll discuss about the structure in C language. So what is the structure in C language? Like this. Struct a keyword followed by the structure name, and you can collect the different data types. Here I'm taking the rule number and name, and the data types of rule number is integer and name data type is character. And how to access these data members here, or how to access the structure members using the structure variable. So how to create the structure variable? So this is the same syntax. Struct keyword were followed by the structure name followed by the structure variable, and you can ending with the semicolon, or you can directly create the S1 here. Before the semicolon you have a flower braces and ending with the semicolon. So between flower braces and the semicolon you can create the S1 also. In both way you can create the structure variable here. So using this S1 variable, we are going to access the rule number and name. So what is the syntax to access this rule number and name using the structure variable, ma? Anyone? How to access the structure members using structure variable? What is the syntax?
S1 dot
Yes.
rule number.
S1 dot rule number and S1 dot name. So
Name.
using structure variable dot operator, and what is the type? Data type you want to access from the structure. So that is the syntax. S1 dot rule number, S1 dot name. So like that you can access the data members of your structure. So this is the syntax of your structure in C. Now we have a structures in C++ also. Then what is the syntax of structure in C++? Like same syntax of structure in C. Struct a keyword followed by the structure name, open the braces. You can write the number of data members, rule number, name. But we have extension that you can include the function also. You can see this one, read and print. So in structure in C, we don't have any functions, just we have a rule number and name. But come to the structure in C++, we have a rule number, name, and we have a functions, read function and a print function. So what is the definition of structure in C++ here? It is a collection of data members, means you can take the data types as well as the functions also. You can include the functions also in the structure in C++. And how to create the structure variable, like syntax of your same in structure in C. Structure keyword followed by the structure name followed by the structure variable ending with the semicolon. Now, is this clear? So we have structure in C as well as the C++. But what is the difference between the C++ structure here? What is the difference between the structure in C++ and CMA? Anyone? What is the difference, or what is the syntax of structure in C and syntax of structure in C++?
In C++, there is void read and void print. In C, there is no void read and void print.
What is the meaning of that one? In C++,
User defined functions cannot be defined in C, ma'am.
uh-huh,
They can be defined in C++.
no,
When
come
the
to this structure. No, not all the differences between the C and C++. Come to this structure part, structure in C and structure in C++. What is the difference between these two only?
Ma'am, structure in C++ has member functions.
Yes, very good. In structure in C, we have only data members, means data types, rule number and name. We can include only data types only. We cannot include the functions. But come to the C++, we can include the functions also, like read and printf function. We can include the functions also. So that is the difference between the structure in C and C++. So we have a difference in a more difference here. So let's see that one. Before that, I want to take the class syntax. So what is the syntax of a class? Like structure syntax only. But instead of struct keyword, we are using the class keyword here. So class keyword followed by the class name, open the braces. You can take the same collection of data types and functions, close the parentheses, braces, ending with the semicolon. And how to create the variable for this one? Instead of struct keyword, here we are using the class followed by the class name followed by the class variable ending with the semicolon. Is this clear? No, structure in C++ and the class in C++ syntax is same, almost same, but we are using the struct keyword here, and in C class we are using the class keyword. That is the difference between the structure and class in C++. Okay, so we have one more difference here. Suppose if you are taking the structure in C, we don't have any access specifiers like public, private, protected. We don't have any access specifiers. Anybody can access the information of your structure in C language. We don't have any security in the C language structures. But come to the C++ structures, we have a security using the access specifiers. So those are public, private, and protected. So these are the three access specifiers. Using these, we can provide the security to your data. And come to class also, we have a access specifiers, public, private, and protected. Now, so structure is also having the access specifiers, and class is also having the access specifiers, and structure is also a collection of data members and member functions, and class is also a collection of data members and member functions. But what is the difference between these two? Now the difference is, if you are not declaring, so before this int rule number, you can take either public or private or protected, anyone. Either you can take the public followed by the colon symbol, or private followed by the colon symbol, or protected followed by the colon symbol. Either of these, one of these public, private, protected can be declared before this data type declaration. Suppose if I want to, if I'm not declaring any
Ma'am,
public,
your voice is not audible, ma'am.
not audible. It is in high only, ma. Yes. Is this audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay. So we have a access specifiers in structure C++ and in class also. Then what is the difference between structure and class in C++? So if you are not declaring any public, private, protected before the declaration of your data members, by default, those members acts as a public. Means anybody can access. Suppose if you are declaring it as a private, only few members can access the details of your structures. But if you are not declaring anything, either public or private or protected, so those members acts as a public, means anybody can access. Now come to class here, if you are not declaring any public, private, protected, by default, those members acts as a private. So that is the difference between the structure and class in C++. So by default, structure members are public, and by default, class members are private. So these are the differences between the structure in C, structure in C++, and class in C++. Is this clear, everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am.
Yeah,
Yes, ma'am.
okay.
Yes.
Now see here, so this S1 is a structure variable in C language. We are calling it as S1 as a structure variable. And come to C++ structure is also, it is a structure variable. And come to C++ S1, S1 is called as an object. We are using the different terminology, but the functionality is same here. We can call it as a class variable also. But in object-oriented programming language, we are using some terminologies here. So S1 is an object of a class here, or you can call it as a variable of a class. So using this S1, we can access the data members and member functions. That means rule number, name, read, print. We can access those members using this object here. Okay. Next one, object. What is an object? It is a variable type. Yes, it is a variable of type class. Now it is an instance of a class, means it is a copy of a class. Class is also copy and the object is also copy. But what is the difference between the class copy and object copy here? It is a real world entity of a class. Object is a real world entity of a class. And it is a physical representation of a class. It is a not logical one. Class is a logical representation. But come to object, it is a physical one. Suppose if you are taking the classroom, in classroom we have a benches, chalk, piece, duster, bag, like this we have a objects. So these are the physical representation. Suppose if you are taking in class example, previous example. So what is the previous example? We are going to construct the building. We need to construct the building. So you are going to construct the building, ma. First, we need a plan. After that, we need to construct the building. So this is a building and we have a plan. So this is the plan. So class, building, classroom, what is the lab, what is office room, and how to read the values and how to print the values. So this is your plan, actual plan, and it is a logical plan. But after implementing this one, now you have a physical representation of a class. So for class, the memory will not be allocated. For the plan, the memory is not used. But once you construct the building, it occupies some space. So it is a real world entity. For class, memory will not be allocated, just it is a plan. But come to the object, it is a real world entity and the memory will be occupied by the object. So object is also a collection of data members and member function. Whatever you are declaring the all the members in your class, and that will be included in the object. But the main difference between the class and object here, class is a plan. It is a logical one. It is not the real one. But come to the object, it is a physical one. The memory will be allocated for the object and the memory will not be allocated for the classes. So that is the difference between the class and object. Is this clear, everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So class is a logical one and object is a physical one. And for the class, memory will not be allocated, but when you are creating the object, the memory will be allocated. So those are the differences between the class and the object. Now come to the next point here. How to create the object? What is the syntax to create the object? So see this one. This is the class and the class name is here, stud. I'm taking the class name as stud here. And what are the data members here? We have a rule number, name, read function and print function. And S1 is the object. So like this also you can create the object here. S1 like structure member. S1 ending with a semicolon. So S1, what is S1 here? It consists of rule number, name, read and print. Means S1 is the collection of data members and member function of your class here. Then, so like this you can create the S1 object at the ending of your class, or you can create the object in main function also. In that case, what is the, not only in main function, you can create the object at anywhere. So normally in natural way, we are creating the object in the main class. So how to create the object in main class here? So class name followed by the object name ending with a semicolon. So what is the example here? So we have a class name as a stud here. So this is a stud. And what are the objects here I'm creating here? S1 and S2. I'm creating the two objects here, S1 and S2. So like this, you can create the object out here. Either you can create at the ending of the class, or you can create the object in the main function or at anywhere. So this is the syntax: class name followed by the object name ending with the semicolon. Now suppose this S1 and S2, these are the objects. Then how much memory will be allocated for this S1 and S2? Suppose if you are taking the structure, we don't have any read and print functions. Rule number and name, only we have data members. So for these data members, memory will be allocated. Suppose if you are not using structure, simply you are adding
12 bytes, ma'am.
Yes.
for each 12 bytes for each object.
Yeah, okay. 12 bytes for each object. Okay, good. Now, suppose if you are taking the normal C program, I'm not using any structures or not, I'm not using any unions. Simply, I'm taking the int a comma b. So, how much memory will be allocated for int a comma b? How much memory will be allocated for int a comma
Four.
b? Yes,
4
4 bytes.
bytes.
4 bytes will be allocated. And 4 bytes will be allocated in a continuous location or different location.
Different location.
Yes, in different location, the memory will be allocated for the A variable and the B variable. Suppose I am taking the structure now. If I am declaring the int A comma B, then how much memory will be allocated for the structure members A comma B? In structure, I am declaring the int A comma B. So how much memory will be allocated for A comma B in structure?
Same 4 bytes, man.
Yes, then what is the difference? Same 4 bytes, okay. Then what is the difference between the previous
But
example?
continuous memory location.
Yes, if you are using the structures, continuous memory location, the memory will be allocated for your structure members. That is the advantage of your structure. Now come to this one. So we don't have any only data members. We have a functions also. We have a collection of data members and member functions in the class. So continuously the memory will be allocated for the data members and member functions here. Suppose if you are taking the in C language, suppose if you are taking the members and functions, the for the function the memory will be allocated separately, and for the data members the memory will be allocated separately. Means variables memory will be allocated separately, and for the function memory will be allocated separately. But if you are taking those under a class, the memory will be allocated in a continuous location like this. So rule number for S1, we have a data, rule number equal to 1, name equal to ABC, and we have a functions like read and print functions here. So for these members, the memory will be allocated continuously. So we have a similarity between the arrays and structure here. In arrays, the memory will be allocated continuously. In structure is also, the memory will be allocated continuously. But what is the difference between the array and structure? Can anyone?
Array stores homogeneous data, ma'am.
Yes, yes. Array stores the homogeneous elements and structure stores the heterogeneous elements. So that is the difference between the array and structure, and that similarity is here. Memory will be allocated in a continuous location. So we have similarity is there and we have a difference is there. Now come to the S2 object. For S2 object also SS.
Ma'am, can you show the previous
Yes,
slide?
I'm showing the preview only. Is not visible to you?
Ma'am, she want to see the previous slide.
Previous slide. Previous slide. What is
Yes,
the previous slide? Which one?
Object. Yes,
Why?
ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, okay. Now, see this one. So we are creating two objects here. So S1, this is the memory. And for S2 also, the memory will be allocated separately. So S1 having the data members and member function, S2 having the data members and member function. So separately, the memory will be allocated for the data members and member function using objects here. So S1 is having separated data, that is a rule number equal 1, name equal ABC, and we have a functions. And S2 is also having the separate data, rule number equal 2, name equal XYZ, and we have a print and a read functions. So like that, the data for the data and member function, memory will be allocated separately for S1 object and S2 object. And S1 having the rule number, name and function, and for these data members, memory will be allocated continuously. For objects, memory will be allocated in different location, but the data members, memory will be allocated continuously in the object. So that is the difference between the object and the within the object how the memory will be allocated. So this is the object. Is this clear, everyone?
Yes,
Do you
ma'am.
have any doubts till now?
Yes.
Ma'am, on which basis the memory of the memory functions is allocated, ma'am?
On which basis the one come again?
Memory of
Mm.
memory functions యొక్క మెమరీ దేని బేస్ చేసుకొని స్టోర్ చేస్తారు? ఇప్పుడు సపోజ్ ఇప్పుడు ఇంటిజర్ కి 2 బైట్స్ ఉంటది కదా మ్యామ్, అట్లా మేము ఆ ఫంక్షన్ కి ఎట్లా మెమరీ అలొకేట్ చేస్తారు?
Functions based on the declaration of your data members only. What is the size of your object? I mean, data members. So based on it, temporarily the memory will be allocated. Temporary, it is going to store in your heap memory location. So heap load, we have a functions. We can access those functions. We can access those data members using functions. We don't have any particular memory here. This much memory will be allocated for your function, for the print function, and this much memory will be allocated for your read function, like that. But if you are taking the data members, so further we can analyze how much memory will be allocated. But if you are taking the functions, we cannot analyze how much memory is allocated. Based on the data members only, we can say that this memory will be allocated, and that is shared by the function. That's it.
ఓకే మ్యామ్.
Okay. And next, we have a next feature of object-oriented programming language. It is the encapsulation. So what is the meaning of encapsulation? Now you can see this one. Encapsulation is a process of wrapping data members and member functions in a single unit, is called as a class.
Ma'am,
So what is the meaning? Yes?
I can't see the slide.
Is this not visible to you?
Yes, ma'am, it's not visible. Yeah, it's not visible, ma'am.
Now is this visible to you?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, okay. So what is the encapsulation? Is a process of wrapping data members and member functions into a single unit. What is the wrapping here? It is a combining. We are combining the data members and member function. Now see here, the class, object, encapsulation, and next coming features, you can say that all, or assuming that all are thinking like same class only. So what is the class? It is a collection of data members and member function. And what is the object? It is a real world entity, and it is also a collection of data members and member function. But the difference between the class and the object is here, class is the logical one. It is the only plan. But come to object, it is a physical one. The memory will be allocated like that. So now come to encapsulation. It is also combining data members and member functions under a single unit. And what is the encapsulation specialty here? Using the method of encapsulation, the programmer cannot directly access the data. Data is only accessible through the object of the class. So if you are taking the class here, you have a declaration of int roll number name, and we have a print function and read function. So that is the class. We are combining the data members and member function under a single unit, is called as encapsulation. But how to access those information? By using the object only. If you are not declaring any object, you cannot access those data members and member functions here. So what is the encapsulation? Combining the data members and member function, but up to what level you are accessing the data. So using this object only, you can access the data members and member functions here. Suppose if you are taking the TV remote and the mobile or car, if you are taking the car here. So if you are taking the car, so we have a number of parts in a car. We have a battery is there, engine is there, exhaust manifold is there. We have a muffler is there, tailpipe is there, fuel tank is there. All are these are all are parts of your car only. But these are not visible to us. So this is covered with the one plane like this. Like this. So if you are taking the car, so these machine, I mean engine and the fuel, it is not visible to us. Only the upside is only visible to us. So that is, it is cover all the parts of your car with the one sheet. So like that, encapsulation is also combining data members and member function. It is acts like a sheet. It is acts like a sheet cover. So car is also combining all the parts of your engine like that, but it is cover with the some sheet like that. So it is an encapsulation. But how to access those one? By using some external parts. We have a accelerator is there. So using that we can increase the speed. Like that, using that parts we can use the car parts. So this is the encapsulation. Now suppose if you are taking the Suppose if you are connecting the Bluetooth devices. So I'm connecting the two Bluetooth device, two mobiles with the Bluetooth. So I can access you can share the file from one mobile to the other file, but you cannot access the details, like you cannot call the or you cannot access the details of contacts of other mobiles, or you cannot access the pictures or images or video files of other mobiles. It is only the use of Bluetooth is you can share the file from one device to the another device. You cannot call making the call from your device of other second person mobile phone numbers. So like that, it is only encapsulation. It is only combining, but it is up to how much level you are accessing those information. It is called as encapsulation, and you can extend that encapsulation with the abstraction here. So this abstraction is the extension of your encapsulation. So what is the abstraction here? So abstraction is a process of hiding irrelevant details from the user. Like previous example, car. We have a car is there. So up to how much level it is visible to user? It is hiding the irrelevant details of your user. So is there any use to visible the engine to the user? No, it is not needed. So you know how to control the car, how to increase the speed of your car, how to take the diversion of the car. So that's it. But he no need to uh, find the what is the engine functioning, and what is the tire functioning, and what is the fuel functioning. Not like that. So this is the abstraction. The data abstraction refers to providing only essential information about the data to the outside world, hiding the background details or implementation. The implementation of, the construction of engine, how the fuel will be going to the engine, how your accelerator is connected with the engine. It is no need to take the information like that. So you need to know how to drive the car, how to speed the car, how to how to take the brakes for the car, and how to take the diversions of the car. So just that is the information you need to know to drive the car. That's it. No need to know the implementation, how the engine will be implemented, and how the fuel is going to the engine. So no need to worry about that details here. Suppose if you are taking the header files in your C language, so we are including the stdio.h header file, and we are using the math.h header file, and we are using the mlog.h header file. So like that, we are using the header files. So using that header file, suppose if you are taking the math.h header file, I can take the power of the one number. I want to take the operation power. I want to take the 2 power 3. I want to calculate the 2 power 3 value. So how to calculate the 2 power 3 value? You need to include the math function math.h. After including the math.h, you can easily calculate the 2 power 3 value. But what is the math.h consists of? What is the implementation? What are the steps of math.h? We don't know. So is there any need to know the what is the statements of math.h header file here? No. So already we have a steps in the math.h header file. Simply we are using that one. Already math.h is the built-in function header file. So we are using that, we are dragging that into the programming part, and just we are using that. So we are hiding the implementation of your math.h, but we are using the part of your math.h. So like that, we are using the abstraction here. So we are including only math.h header file, but we are not writing all the what are the statements in the math.h header file here. Just we are including only one statement math.h header file, and using that we can calculate the math files, means power, to divide, division, multiplication. Like that we can calculate the values. Suppose if you want to send the message from one mobile to another mobile, simply you are typing the text and just send by pressing the send key. It is going to the other mobiles. So we don't know what is the internal procedure of your sending the message from one mobile to another mobile here. Just we are typing the message and we are just clicking the send button, and it is going to the other mobiles. No need to worry about what is the implementation, what is the code include that one inside, what is the procedure is going on. So we are not bothered about those code here. So it is an abstraction. So that SMS details hiding the internal procedure, and we are just using the external procedure, just tapping the message and send, and that is going to the other mobiles. Like WhatsApp also, we are sending one file or a picture or video from one mobile to the other mobiles. But how this video is going to the other mobile, what is the implementation part? So don't bother about that. Means we are hiding the implementation part of your WhatsApp. We are not taking the what is the step-by-step procedure. It is going to the one mobile the video is going from one mobile to the other mobile. So simply we are using the built-in apps, and using the built-in apps we can forward the message from one mobile to the other mobile. That's it. Suppose if you are taking a Google Meet, now we are using the Google Meet app now. I don't want to know about what is the code of the Google Meet. Just I want to know how to conduct the class using Google Meet, and using which option I can share my screen to the students, and using which option I can record the screen. So like that I can know what are the options in your Google Meet. But I don't want to take the implementation part of your Google Meet here. So that is abstraction. The implementation part is hide here, but we are using those options by using the external visual here. So that is the abstraction here. Now suppose if you are taking the next we have a inheritance. So what is the inheritance here? So we are acquiring means, or we are deriving the properties or attributes or data members and member functions of one class into the other class. So what is the class actually? It is a collection of data members and member function. Suppose if I want to use those one class of data members and member functions into other class, I want to use the concept here, inheritance concept. So using this inheritance concept, we can acquire or derive the properties of one class into the other class. So data members and member functions attributes. So these are the properties of one class here. Now the class which is inherited is called base class. From which class you want to inherit the properties, that class is called as a base class. And to which class you need to inherit the properties, that class is called as a derived class. Okay. And what is the use of this inheritance concept here? The core reusability is there. Already we have declared some data members in one class. I want to reuse those data members in other class. No need to declare one more time those data members into the second class. Just once declared, we can reuse those data members into the other class. So reusability is there. Code reusability is there. So that is the advantage of your inheritance here. Suppose if you are taking the class A, I'm taking the class A. I want to derive the properties of class A into the class B. So like that, the inheritance concept will be applied. Suppose if you are taking the parent and child. So your parent having some features. That features can be derived into your child. Means either you. So suppose if you are taking you and your father. Some of the features that belongs to your fathers will be derived into your, suppose if you are taking the father hair color, if it is brown or black, so that may be derived into your body. Means you may have a brown and black color hair here. Suppose the eyes, some of the features, eyes may be same, or some of the features, ears may be same, or some nose may be same, or some lips may be same. So like that, some of the features that belongs to your father, so you can apply that features into your body also. So that is the inheritance concept here. Or suppose if you are taking the one more example like this. Suppose if you are taking the junior NTR and senior NTR, the features of junior and senior NTR are almost the same. The dialogue delivery or the pose, structure of pose, and all are same. So he inherit junior NTR inherit the properties of senior NTR here. So whatever the features in senior NTR, the dialogue delivery or structure, so that inherit into the junior NTR here. So we can see that both the picture, both the structure, style, dialogue delivery may be same here. Suppose if you are taking the mega star Chiranjeevi and this one, Ram Charan, the dance style is same. If you are taking both the people, the dancing style is same. Why? Because he inherit thus. Ram Charan inherit the properties of Chiranjeevi style, dance style, or it may be pose. So that may be same here. So here Ram Charan and here it is the junior NTR inherit the properties of those grandfather or father. So that is the inheritance concept here. Suppose if you are taking one more example in computer science application, so we have iPhones are there. So iPhone 7, iPhone 7 plus 8, 8 plus X are there, X are there. Now we are using the 11 Pro, 11 Pro mobiles are there. So what is the extension of 7 into 7 plus, and what is the extension of 8 from 7 plus, and what is the extension of XX from the XR? So from if you are taking the versions, so one version is different from the other version, but we are taking the same basic concepts are same. If you are taking suppose XR, iPhone XR and iPhone X Max here, or suppose if you are taking the iPhone XX and iPhone XS Max. Now see this one, the price is different, but the memory is same. It is 64 GB, and XS Max is also having the 64 GB, and it is having the 256 gigabytes, and it is having the 256 gigabytes. And suppose if you are taking the screen is different now here. It is 5.8 inches and it is a 6.5 inches. Now suppose if you are taking the RAM is same here, 4 GB and 4 GB. Means we are taking some of the features from the XS and we are implementing the new version, that is the XS Max. Suppose if you are taking this one, iPhone X and iPhone X are here. So what are the common features? What are the basic features? So from iPhone X, we have a 3 GB RAM. So in iPhone XR also, we have a 3 GB RAM here. Okay. And front camera, we have a 7 MP here. And here also we have a 7 MP. Means the whatever the features in the iPhone X, we are taking those features into the XR, but we are taking the XR having the more extra features. So what are the extra features of XR here? The screen having the 6.1 inches here, and it having the 128 gigabytes here. And next we have a camera, rear camera, it is 12 MP, but come to previous one, it is 12 MP plus 12 MP, that is rear cam. So like that, we are inherit the properties of one version into the other version. We are taking the basic concepts of one mobile into the other mobile, and we are adding the extra features to the particular mobile. Suppose if you are taking a C and C++, we can write the program using C and C++, but we are extending some properties into C, then we will get the C++ language here. So that is the inheritance concept here. Now how to declare the syntax of your inheritance. So return type means you can take integer, float, or void, any return type here. And derived class name, derived class, sorry, it is the base class name. Oh yes, sir, derived class name. Suppose it is a child class name. And colon symbol, visibility mode, access specifier, and base class name. Base class name. And open the braces and close the braces. Now, so the syntax is this one: return type, derived class name, colon symbol, visibility mode, access specifier. Visibility mode is here, access specifier. Then take the base class name, open the braces. You can write some statements and close the braces. So what is the visibility mode here? Before going to the actual part of inheritance syntax here, what is the visibility mode and access specifier? So in class, while we are discussing the class, we have a public, private, and protected access specifiers are there. So what are the access specifiers? We have three types of access specifiers, that is public, private, and protected. So using public, anybody can access the information. But if you are using the private and protected, we can secure the information here. So these are the access specifiers. So we have a separate topic on access specifiers. So up to that, just know what are the types of specifiers and what is public and what is private and protected. Using public, if you are using public, anybody can access. We don't have any security. But come to the private and protected, we can secure the information. So these are the access specifiers. Now how to take the syntax actual part. Now see this one. I'm taking a class here, class stud, and we have a rule number and name, and we have a read function and a print function is there. Now I want to use these read and I want to use these properties of stud class into other class. Suppose I'm taking the class here, marks. I'm taking the marks class here. Class marks. So what is the marks here? It is a derived class name followed by the colon symbol. I'm using the public visibility mode here or access specifier. So from which class you need to access the data members? Stud class. So you need to write that class name here. So first class syntax, class keyword followed by the derived class name, colon symbol, access specify, either you can use public, private or protected, and from which class you need to derive the properties. So that class name you should write here. So this is the syntax of your inheritance concept. Now suppose if you are taking like this, I can access the roll number, name of all these data members of stud into the mark class here. Suppose in stud class, I'm taking the roll number and name details here. But come to marks, if I want to display the marks here, M1, M2, M3 marks, so these marks belongs to which student? Roll number 1 or roll number 2 or Avinash or Santosh, like that. I need to know the information about the roll number and name also. So in that case, I need to inherit the properties of stud into the marks class. So in that case, I need to take the syntax like this. So class, marks class, name, colon symbol, visibility mode, and what is the base class. Now I'm deriving the properties of stud into the marks class here. Now this marks class also having the extra features other than rule number, name, read data, print. We have some extra features of this class. What are the features here? M1, M2, M3. These all belongs to only marks class, not belongs to your stud class. Now void read, it is belongs to marks class only, and display, it is belongs to only marks class. So we can extend the features of one class into the other class, and we have extra features of the child class also. So this stud class is called as a base class, main class, and parent class. And come to this one, marks class, it is called as a child class, derived class, or subclass. So we have names here. So stud class is called as a base class, main class or parent class, and come to marks class is called as the child class, derived class or the subclasses. So we have a names for this one. So this is about the inheritance. Is this clear everyone up to here?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Do
ma'am.
you have
Yes,
any
teacher.
doubt? Do you have any doubts here?
No, ma'am.
Anyone? Do you have any doubts? Till now, we have
No, ma'am.
discussed what is class and what is the object and what is the encapsulation and what is abstraction. Now, this is the fifth one, inheritance. So, till now, you have any doubts in class or object abstraction like that?
No, ma'am.
Ma'am,
Is
does
this
hello?
yes, tell me.
Ma'am, does inheritance is applicable only for class, ma'am?
Inheritance, yes, inheritance is applicable for only class, not for the structures. Now you have a structures in C, C++, and classes also we have a C++, we have a classes. So C, we have a class and the structures, but inheritance concept is used in the class only. We don't have an inheritance concept in structures. We cannot inherit the properties of one structure into the other structure. But come to the class, you can inherit the properties of one class into the other class. So that is the main difference again. If you are taking the structures and class in C++, we have one more difference here. We cannot inherit the structure properties of one class structure into the other structure. But come to the class, we can inherit the properties of one class into the other class. We don't have feature inheritance concept in the structure. We have a concept in the class only. Is this clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Still? Anybody?
Ma'am, in class, if we declare the variables under protected, they will be encrypted, ma'am.
Yes. Correct. So if you are declaring public or private or protected, if you are declaring private, we cannot inherit the properties into one other class. That is the security of your private. If you are taking the before this rule number name, if you are declaring it as a private, you cannot inherit these properties into the other class. But if you are declaring this public and protected, you can inherit the properties of one class into the other class. So private means within the class only we can access. Other class members cannot access. But if you are taking the public and protected, other classes also access those information. Again, we have a difference between the public and protected. So that will be we'll discuss later. So that's why I'm asking up to here. Is this clear, everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have any doubts?
No, ma'am.
Clear, everyone?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, you can post the questions in chat box also, no problem. I will see that. Summary posting, I'm not asking dynamically by loop. We can what loop executed statements. Can we create a variable at runtime? We cannot create the variable at runtime, but we can create the memory for that variable at runtime. Okay. iPhone la RAM device kada ఇప్పుడు తెలుస్తుంది. Okay. So is this clear, everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So in next class, we'll discuss some more features. So actually we have 8 features. So till now we discussed completely 4 features. Now we are in the 5th feature. So in next class we'll discuss the 5th feature and remaining features also with examples. Then after that we'll write the programming part.
మ్యామ్
Yes.
మ్యామ్ నాకు ఏమైనా
ma'am.
పీడిఎఫ్ పంపుతారా అంటే నోట్స్ లాగా?
ఇది ఇప్పుడు నేను పంపించేది ఇవి చేసేది మీకు పంపిస్తానులే.
ఓకే మ్యామ్.
ఇవి నేను చేసినవి నేను చెప్పినవి మీకు పంపిస్తాను. ఓకే. So shall we leave?
థ్యాంక్ యూ మ్యామ్. ఎస్ మ్యామ్, థ్యాంక్ యూ మ్యామ్.
Okay.